Today, I wanted to kick off by sharing the story of steel, the metal. How does steel that's refined in Pennsylvania find its way to Ohio, where it becomes electronic parts and components, which then finds its way to Detroit in the form of an assembled automobile, which then finds its way into an automotive dealership here in New York for you to buy a car? Well, that's what the modern supply chain is built on, and it's not talked about enough. The big takeaway here, though, is that the free-flowing trade between businesses is what drives economic growth and standards of living in modern civilization. A lot of it happens, $11 trillion worth in the US economy, but the way that these businesses connect and coordinate between each other is broken. There's a ton of pen and paper, email, phone, faxes. The reason why is that the steel refinery in Pennsylvania lives in a completely separate context with its own patchwork of manual processes and internal tools from the electronic parts components producer who lives in their own context. So when that occurs, the interface layer between both of these businesses to trade is pen, paper, fax, email, phone. And therefore, trade itself at scale is slow, manual, error-prone, and quite expensive, and this is not a good thing for the world. So what we do as Nuvo is businesses come on board Nuvo to onboard and connect with their trade partners with immense speed and trust. So now the steel refinery doesn't need to work on a patchwork of paper processes. If they want to work with 1,000 new electronics producers, they invite their trade partners to connect with them on the platform. And that enables them to activate and manage their trade coordination in a substantially faster way than they historically could have without it. But what happens is that when the steel refinery invites their electronic parts components manufacturer, who invites their automotive manufacturers, who invite their automotive dealerships, all come on board Nuvo because they're all inviting each other in order to connect, trade, and coordinate all of their activities. Nuvo becomes the shared infrastructure layer on which trade actually is orchestrated across the entire offline graph that exists across the economy. And what ended up happening is that very quickly, we started off with just a few companies within our network, quickly grew that to a graph of 40,000 businesses that now trade within the network. That's a real life graph. It's growing about 6 to 8x year over year while we scale revenue. And it's kind of like circa 2005 Facebook, where V1 is every person has their own profile. They can connect with each other and they can chat and do all of these fun things together. And we're building something comparable in the B2B graph, which has never been constructed the way that we're pursuing it. And it's powering industries that impact all of our lives. Think of food and beverage, construction, chemicals, distribution, manufacturing, with some of the biggest and most important logos that power trade in the global economy. And one of the interesting properties of this is that becoming the identity and connectivity layer for all of the world's businesses enables us to grow in really, really meaningful ways. So right now, we enable trusted connectivity. This year, we're building out automation for allowing payments and coordination to happen within the trade graph. And then next year, we'll be deploying agents that are able to autonomously trade on the network. Confidentially, but also not confidentially, we're supported by some of the best investors in the technology industry like Sequoia and Spark and Founders Fund. Our team comes from awesome places. We have a lot of fun. We work in person in New York, in San Francisco, and in Denver.